Welcome to the Blessed Teach Show. This is Rick, your host, here on Monday, October 28th, and we have 6 or 7 people backstage here with me the last 5 or 8 minutes or so, so that's been fun. We've got a lot of people online as well. Appreciate you guys all joining me here. So I see somebody that says, I see who was the very first one here. I always like to give that recognition. S. Having fun. Thank you for much. He says morning. I don't know how you got here in the morning. You must be in a different country. Denver, Colorado. We got Massachusetts in the house. We got Wichita, Kansas in the house. Where are y'all from? We've got you guys doing some awesome discussion there. And now I'm going down to the bottom to see where we are. Alaska, Arizona, Michigan. Thank you all for here. Virginia. All right, tell you what, I've been off for the last 3 days with a family reunion. So I was out in the California area having a blast. My pops, my dad was in town, and we had I guess I'm a great uncle to several kids, and as you know, I'm a new grandpa as well. So we're pretty soon we'll get the four of the kids together. They're all great grandkids of my dad. So fun stuff. That's what has been happening the last 3 days. There's a lot of fun stuff been going on, so we got a ton to cover. So let's get right to it. Just to let you know, scheduling wise, those of you that are backstage, we'll have Gene going backstage and really deep into the underground, the DUMS, the deep underground military on Wednesday. Also, my son will be exclusive backstage as well to talk about red pilling, how he red pills all the progressives that he's been with since he's 21-year-old now, dealing with a lot of college students. I get here people see him from Colorado Springs and San Francisco and Minneapolis and Jackson, Florida. You guys all over, thank you so much for joining us as well. We are going to be digging into this One Less Cabal puppet, and also talk a little bit more about Backstage Live, what we're doing there. It's going to be quite fun for those of you who have joined me there. So tell you what, we also are going to be having a free workshop I'll tell you about here over the last couple of weeks. That'll be probably starting next week. We're really getting into how we win and how we impact the ungodly world. Right? That'll be a fun free workshop for everybody who would like to join me on that as well. So it's busy. I'm packing a lot of stuff into this as well. You know, we have the winning T-shirt contest. Have 3 winners already. A third design will be up later in the week. So those kind of the administrative announcements. Let me get into a little bit what's going on here with the news. I mean, it is crazy. I tell you what, we have Trump right here at a 48-minute press conference. This is one of the most transparent guys the Oval Office has ever seen. To stop and give press conferences, we don't even hear much about the press corps, as far as his press secretary anymore, right? Because he's doing all the press conferences himself, pretty much. 48 minutes on basically getting Baghdadi, right? So that is really good news. And I'm just going to play the very first part of this, give you guys a flavor. I'll have the link to this 48-minute video for those of you who really want to get the details of it.
Is dead.
Here we go.
Last night, the United States brought the world's #1 terrorist leader to justice. Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi is dead. He was the founder and leader of ISIS, the most ruthless and violent terror organization anywhere in the world. The United States has been searching for Baghdadi for many years.
So that's again at 48 minutes. He answers all kinds of questions. He tells us exactly when he knew about it 3 days ago. He tells us all about how he was behind the scenes and went into around 5 o'clock when they took off, and how many airplanes and ships were involved, etc. It's like, wow, this is a transparent president is what we have. And so I think it's going to be awesome. So it looks like some people are going to the Trump rally in Lexington, Kentucky on November 4th. All right, man, Mike, that's great. That's going to be that. Just don't get kicked out like me. So mellow out on the Q gear, or be more. Don't be so close to the media and acting all nervous like I was. Hey, but I do want to talk about my sponsor for this episode. It is Rate Family. You can find them at ratefamily.com. And this really has to do with not the most favorite topic, obviously, but it's something we all have to deal with, right? And that is death in the family can be hard. But unfortunately, we do have to deal with it sooner or later. All of us leave behind final expenses such as funeral costs, medical bills, and other debts. In fact, the average funeral alone is between $8,000 and $9,000. Having no insurance when you die can leave your loved ones with a huge bill to deal with, and no one wants that. Take control of your family destiny today and have the satisfaction that they will be financially taken care of. Visit ratefamily.com and get a free quote. You can select the best plan to fit your needs and budget. Burial expenses is very easy to budget for, and you can choose how many and how often to make payments. Some members pay as low as $36 per month due to income level. Visit ratefamily.com or call 1-855-919-RATE. That's 855-919-RATE. You'll be glad you did. Again, don't let your family pay for your final expenses. So there's a link down below in the YouTube video here, or you can call that 1-800 number here right here on the screen. Tell you what, that is exciting when you see a president that's this bold. I mean, I was watching a little bit of Dan Bongino earlier today during my lunch hour, and it was really interesting to see how the mainstream media attacked him. I mean, it doesn't matter what he does good, because he called this ruthless guy a dog, right? And boy, that just triggered all the mainstream media who wants him out. So it's going to be real interesting to see how what happens as we go through that. But look here, we look at this person here talks about is a good example of them just being triggered. Trump could not have heard whimpering and crying because there was no audio, and Esper and Miley refused to confirm those details. So here, yes, the assertion that Baghdadi died as a coward was contradicted by the fact that rather than be captured, he blew himself up. Oh, so he's not a coward because he blew himself up with his children, right? So he takes children down there as a human shield, and then he ends up killing them, and he's some type of non-coward. That's a coward. So that just shows you what's happened. The Washington Post is really sickening articles talking about almost honoring this guy. This person, I think, replies pretty well. It says, "I will never understand why a Jewish writer could praise the courage of a mass murdering, mass raping Jewish-hating terrorist who blew up his own children. Hitler also took his own life rather than be captured. By his own logic, I assume Max Boot has also praised Hitler's courage." So it just shows you how these guys are just, enemies of the people. They really are. They know that the Cabal has one less puppet right now with losing al-Baghdadi, and now they seem to be defending him because they don't like Trump. Seems that's the way it is. As seen through the eyes of the Washington Post, homegrown terrorist is who? Well, it's this guy right here. Yeah, the Catholic young kid. Yeah, he had a "Make America Great" hat on, and he was sitting there smiling at an Indian hitting a drum, right? So he's a homegrown terrorist. Well, al-Baghdadi, well, he's an austere religious scholar, is the way the Washington Post actually presented it in their articles. It's just really sickening when you really look at it. Here's Jeffrey Dahmer, concierge of exotic and locally sourced meats, dies at 34. This is kind of a joke, right? This is be what the Washington Post would say. Right, instead of saying what the truth, they're if Trump doesn't like him, Trump takes him out, then all of a sudden they have to make that person better than he is, so that they can try to make Trump. This Trump derangement syndrome is extreme. The extreme of the extremes. We're starting to see that, right? It's like, whoa. I think Pelosi has a real problem with Syria and ISIS. The way she threw a tantrum when 45 pulled out of the 20-mile wide strip in Syria. Right in the middle of her brother's death and impeachment circus, Pelosi has to take an emergency Codell to Syria, Jordan. If you look at the timeline of when POTUS says he pinned down the exact location of Baghdadi, it was exactly when Pelosi returned from her Codell. I think Pelosi met with Baghdadi on her Codell or with his representatives. And obviously this is a theory from one of the Anons here. And Pelosi is under surveillance and led us right to him. I don't know, that's a kind of a wild theory, but just thought that was interesting to share, to see that, it's like this cabal, it all works together. Here's Donald Trump actually saying, "We have declassified a picture of the wonderful dog," named not declassified, that did such a great job in capturing and killing the leader of ISIS, Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi. And there's, I guess, this is one of the dogs that got injured, but none of the dogs died, and neither did any of the Americans. So they took fire on the way in. It was a dramatic and large operation to take the leader out. And boy, I'm so glad they did, because that is if you think about it, just a vicious person that's cutting people's head off, killing, throwing people off buildings. Whether in anything that anybody that didn't agree with. That's why freedom of religion is so important. I have a very specific theology and what I think is truth, and I back that up with facts in the Bible, right? But the fact is where Christianity grows the best is where there's freedom of religion. So we don't want a state-supported religion. We don't need that. We just need freedom of religion, and that's what these other places don't do, and that's part of what our Constitution is all about. But here, remember this picture? Here we are, No Name himself, right here, number 3. And you have number 1 is an ISIS press officer. Look at number 2 right there. Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, head of ISIS, right here, meeting with McCain, along with this Syrian terrorist right here, number 4. Was that Mohammed Noor? And then this Syrian Emergency Task Force guy here, this Mustafa guy. But just remember, this whole cabal, right and left, even though the left is pretty much showing their ugly colors, there's a lot of ugly stuff on the right. We've got No Name, we had Flake, we had Ryan, but all these guys had completely sold out this country. And on the right as well. So let's not forget that this is we need the new Patriot Party, right? Get rid of the right and left thing in this government. It's silly lie. It's we the people versus the cabal. That's what we're dealing with right now. Now here's another article that was talking about parents of slain Baghdadi victim eternally grateful to Trump. Wish Obama could have been so decisive. So at least some people, and here's a little video you can play to see through a little bit about this. I'm not going to play that because it's not real well done. But the death of Islamic State group leader Baghdadi Saturday was a big event to most Americans. A victory in the country's long-running and likely endless war on terrorism. Let me blow this up for you guys can see it a little bit better. But for the Mollers, whose daughter Kayla was tortured by Baghdadi's henchmen and reportedly raped by the terrorist himself, while being held prisoner by Islamic State in Syria, it was word they've been long waiting for. So this guy was an animal, obviously. In a newspaper interview published Sunday, the Muellers thanked President Trump and the members of the United States military involved in the raid that resulted in the death of their daughter's tormentor. An operation military official said was named in her honor. The Muellers also offered a comparison between Trump and former President Barack Obama that every American should think about. We are so grateful for them. We are so grateful, Marshall Mueller told the Arizona Republic. I still say Kayla should be here. And if Obama had been as decisive as President Trump, maybe she would have been, Marshall Mueller said. Right? So that's exactly right. And I think people doesn't recognize the fact that Obama didn't want to destroy ISIS. It wasn't about just being decisive. They had those rules of engagement for a reason, because this was the 16-year plan to destroy America, as we know. Right, this person said the operation that killed ISIS leader was named after Kayla Mueller, an American hostage who was captured by ISIS, tortured, raped by al-Baghdadi himself, and then murdered. Mueller refused to renounce her Christian faith while an ISIS captive. There she is. So the operation was named after Kayla. So anybody that's trying to, so the Washington Post they're trying to hail this monster as some type of religious leader, austere religious leader. Just shows you how far the Washington Post has gone. They are true enemies of people, just like ABC and NBC and CBS and all the people that own the news, where they try to control you with 4 a.m. talking points. That's the whole Operation Mockingbird, a vital thing to understand for your friends that you want to start to wake up. Judicial Watch lawsuit forces release of bin Laden burial records from the United States Navy. So as we move on to bin Laden, there's a lot of stuff starting to be dug in to find out what the real reason is there. What really happened with all this stuff. Here's Representative Katie Hill, as you know, sleeping with her male and female aides. Is with broken heart today I announce my resignation from Congress. This is the hardest thing I've had ever to do, but I believe it is the best thing for my constituents, my community, and our country. See my official statement below. So this is what happens when the values go out the window, right? This is why we talk about the ungodly world we live in, and how we, as the Christians, and through the prayer warriors, part of the army of God, are the ones that have to take our country back, have to take our culture back in each of our countries. I know there's people from multiple countries that listen to this broadcast, so it's up to us to be praying through this spiritual battle as the witches try to put, as you know, spells on Trump on the 25th. So thank you for all those who fasted and prayed on the 25th and beforehand to counteract those spells. I was acting that those spells would turn back onto the witches, back onto the deep state, back onto the cabal. And that is exactly what the battle we're in. And I'm so proud to be going side by side by all of you who are the Christian patriots that really are red-pilled and understand what's going on. Exciting times. This anon said, "Don't ever forget this." It's got all these pictures of these people that said, "I was petrified." And we're talking about Harvey Arbstree, and there Harvey, and there she is. That doesn't look like she's too petrified, does it? His behavior was outrageous, said Kate Beckinsale. This was Gwyneth Paltrow. Here is Ashley Judd. "I kept saying no." And there she is. It was a nightmare. Asia, Argentina. So I'm sure, and here all these three kissing Harvey Weinstein at the same time. Everybody knew this whole Me Too movement was designed to try to go blame everything on the Kavanaughs of the world and I believe, and Trump, etc., and move it right back on. But it's sticking with them. And so it'll be real interesting when we continue to have all these awesome people like Fitzgerald and all these other people that are being whistleblowers on the deep state, especially with Hollywood. Will be awesome when this all comes out. Report: shocking FBI love triangle. FBI Director McCabe had an affair with top FBI lawyer Lisa Page, who also had an affair with his FBI boss Strzok. So this is as crazy as we start getting more and more detail into it. So poor Lisa Page, she was actually, I shouldn't say poor. She was, there's other words that people would use. She was married and having an affair with two of the guys at work. That's pretty crazy. I'm not sure if it's at the same time. I haven't had a chance to dig into this article, but I'll put it in the show notes. Obviously, go to blessed2teach.com with a number 2 in there. Blessed with a number 2 teach.com to go sign up for the show notes. And as well as that's where you get to Backstage if you want to see Gene on Wednesday or my son talking about red pilling tomorrow night. Those will be at 7:30 Central Time, and it'll be not on YouTube. It'll be on a separate platform. And so you'll use your Backstage pass to get to that, like those that are on right now. If you want to watch it live, but it'll be available in recorded fashion as well on the platform there. So as you can know, I'm diversifying heavily off of YouTube in case they try to continue to censor me, which they are. But if they actually knock me off, we will be fine. Anybody will be able to find me that is Backstage. Here we are on Newsflash. Federal Judge William O. Bertelsmann partially reversed his ruling to dismiss Nick Sadman's claims against the Washington Post. Nick's case may now proceed into discovery. The ruling bodes well for the NBC and CNN cases as well. So this is, back to that picture I was showing you, right, where poor Nick is sitting there being labeled a homegrown terrorist because he's sitting there smiling with his hat on, not causing any problems, while you have ISIS being basically glorified in the Washington Post. It's a kind of a gross article if you go look at that, by the way, of what the Washington Post actually did. Here's a more detailed article on it. Judge reopens the Covington Catholic Teens $250 million lawsuit against Washington Post. So that'll be in the show notes as well. This is kind of exciting, especially because it goes into what a bunch of us influencers are doing with potential lawsuits against the big tech companies, which I think is no longer a secret. All you have to do is go to bitburning.com if you're really interested in trying to understand what's going on in the movement against big tech from we the people. Go to stopbitburning.com. It's like, it's a modern day book burning, bit burning, right? Bits like in the bits in the computer. So you're basically silencing all the voices of people you don't like they used to by burning books. Now they're silencing our voices by taking our YouTube channels down, our Facebook channels down, etc., etc. Here's Emerald Robertson saying, do you notice what happened to the corporate media? Huffington Post is for sale. USA Today will stop its newspaper. CNN has lost its audience. NBC is hostage to multiple sex scandals. ABC got caught for doctoring a war video. It's all crashing down. So as you get the lack of confidence in the media at 90+% of Republicans now, and approaching 50% plus for Democrats and more for independents, we're almost getting to that tipping point. So keep on praying for this. Keep on red pilling your friends on Operation Mockingbird. I know that one of the groups in the cultural impact system, the Impactors, has created are starting to do research on Operation Mockingbird. About ready to do another video that we'll have on hopefully here in the next few weeks. Be fun to see what they come up with in their more detailed research than I was able to do on Operation Mockingbird. And so, hey, I wanted to let you know that one of our subscribers actually has this site up, and I always mispronounce this, so you guys will have to help me. IMPRECATORY prayer. So that's .com is exactly where they have prayers actually for the cabal, against the plans of the cabal, obviously, but also a bunch of prayer going on here. It's another great place from a warrior we have on our channel right now. That follows Blessed Teach. Here is a couple of long threads I'm going to go over here in a second. I did want to, before I go over a couple threads that are pretty awesome, I did want to make sure you guys understood how to do the Backstage if you want to see Gene's video on Wednesday, and he's probably going to do another one on Saturday. I'm sorry, it's going to be live Backstage, and you'll be able to see the recording even if you can't make it live at 7:30 Central. But what you'll do is you just go to blessed2teach.com with the 2, and you go right here to Backstage. And Backstage is you'll be able to come to this page right here, and again, it's going to have exclusive content on red pilling, sharing the Lord, and deeper topics. And I have this new searchy tool, and most people are giving me great feedback on this, because you can find the minute and second of whatever we talked about, any subject on the Blessed Teach show over the last month plus, and it's going to continue to build and go. So it's quite a bit of investment for me, but I think it's going to be a great tool for you. That's why I've got that. And then obviously there's some people right now that were there 5 minutes before when we prayed for the show, and 5 minutes after the show we'll also be able to talk a little bit about the broadcast, and you'll be able to see, even if you can't join me live, you'll also see the recordings of that as well. We got to see Rocky, who's sitting here. They can see Rocky here on the chair back over here, who's hanging out with us today during the recording. And so you'll get all those things. Be able to join me live. Get Searchy. There's a video that talks all about Searchy there. Be able to get the recordings and then get to exclusive content. And again, that's just for the next few days. For October special, we're doing a 50% discount. So instead of being $14 a month, it's only $7.39 a month. And it actually goes down to like $5 a month if you get the year in advance and just pay yearly. So again, you're going to go to blessed2teach.com and go to Backstage to actually get it. I think there's a link down below in the YouTube video as well for those of you watching on YouTube. Let's start going over a few more. There's this thread here. Yeah, somebody's talking about, what do you think about the UN Utah situation? I didn't get a chance to, as I'm being behind with a family reunion, I did see that they took over some building or something like that, and then somebody said that they took over half the state somewhere else. I wouldn't be surprised if that's linked back to Mitt. He's a power broker there at Utah, and obviously has shown his colors, and SB2 has really exposed him as a deep state operative and tool that actually threw the election. Because why? And they actually funded him and wanted him to win the nomination because he was the dirtiest one that they had the most dirt on. And then once they got into it, they were able to bribe him to throw the election. Just sad is what it is. So this is Brian Cates. Does some great threads. This was back on the 24th a few days ago. It says, been a long wait. It'll have been worth it. It's time's almost up. It's got a picture of Horowitz here, and it's got all these other operatives like the Clappers of the world and the Comeys of the world and the Loretta Lynch of the world and Eric Holders of the world, and obviously Hillary and McCabe and all the other operatives that we see here with Lisa Page, etc., Sally Yates. But it says, now, this is speculation at this point on my part. But from the moment they got the misfud phones, I've been thinking if they filed any official paperwork where they lied and hid the fact Mifsud was working for them, not the Russians, hell yes, that equals a crime. And you can see here, Justice Department is said to open criminal inquiry into its own. The move is likely to open the Attorney General to accusations that he is trying to deliver political victory for President Trump. Obviously, that's happening, right? But as Durham and Horowitz start digging into this is going to be an amazing time period. This is also a bad night for folks endlessly tweeting at me over the past couple of months that the Horowitz Fisk report was never going to see the light of day. Huge credit to Finch, name redacted, for being the first one to show me how the edited 302 forms were going to blow this whole thing up. Tracy Beans here, breaking docket updates, many pages I've downloaded here and am here now. Wow. Twitter. This is talking about the Lisa Page edited the Flynn 302. James Clapper told WAPO reporter Ignatius to basically take the kill shot on Flynn. And then there's more details about what they actually highlighted here. Bottom line is that the 302s were illegally, this was a total frame job, including illegal actions of changing the interview forms. It's like you interview somebody and they say something and then you change them and then you basically bribe them to try to turn them. Wow. Technofox is breaking new. Sidney Powell filing in the Flynn case. Lisa Page edited the Flynn 302s. James Clapper told WAPRO reporter Ignatius to basically take the kill shot. So that's a whole nother thread you can go through. Don't have time to go through that tonight. But I wrote several columns over the past year where I discussed the manifest issue surrounding Strzok and Pinka's interview of Flynn on January 24th, 2017. Here's just one of them. So there's a whole nother article there by Brian Cates, and another column where I covered the strange issue surrounding the 302 forms in the Flynn case. In my column from December 18th of last year, I believe I was the first to tie the prediction that Flynn's conviction would be tossed due to government misconduct related to 302 forms. Jeff Carlson, the Markets Work, also had a great column on this issue at the time. And here's the new FBI 302 document appears to reveal, and it goes on and it talks about the Michael Flynn memorandum in aid of sentencing was filed on December 11th. You know how all that's going. I've known this was coming for over a year and a half. I've been one of the only political columnists regularly asking where FBI Special Agent Joseph Pinka is and where is the 302 form from the Flynn interview. If you read Tracy's thread linked above, you could see the documentary evidence from the James Baker congressional transcript, how it was revealed that the U.S. Attorney, John Durham, was already involved in criminal investigation related to David Corn and others on October 2018. Wait, it's this thread by Tracy. Important thread. Please read and retweet. Proof that Durham has been investigating for over a year now. And this is a thread that kind of digs into, look at this, October 3rd, 2018. Now that is pretty awesome news if you think about that. Because that just shows you that Sessions was doing things behind the scenes, getting things rolling, etc. And there we are. The James Baker transcript proves Durham had started well before May of this year. This is the date Baker was interviewed, October 3rd, 2018. Republican Jim Jordan asks Baker a question, but Baker's attorney cuts Baker off and tells him not to answer since answering would affect an ongoing DOJ criminal investigation. And that criminal investigation was probably Durham working there. This is where it's revealed that it's not just IG Horrors that's investigating this stuff back in October 2018. They cough up Durham's name. And so, unroll available on Thread Builder. You can go see this. Baker's attorney cuts him off. Jordan and Meadows ask if it's because the IG is investigating. They reply this because of John Durham. Good investigations happen in secret. Durham has been investigating since before October 2018. We are over a year into this. Tracy is right. The cover story that is now, Tracy's right. The cover story is that only now is Durham probe shifting to criminal investigation. Allow me to remind you who was Attorney General back in October of 2018. That looks Jeff Sessions gives you when he decides he's not gonna fire you. There he is right there. He's gonna make an example out of you all time. So we talked about him being the silent executioner. So he did some great work that we're all not going to find out about for a while probably. And with that, I'm done for tonight. I need my sleep. Tomorrow will be a big day. So that's Brian Cates' thread. So again, that'll be in the show notes on blessedtoteach.com. You can just go there and you can go to the contact me. You can send me emails as well as click to get on the email list to get those show notes. You can just go directly to the show notes, so you can sign up on the first page as well. I also want to make sure you guys know when we have, talk about all these dumbs and the wars Gene's talking about, that we'll be going into more detail on Backstage on Wednesday. Again, that'll be a Backstage thing where he's not going to hold back. He's going to go really deep into the dumbs and what's happening in every one of the dumbs across every state in the United States. And preparewithrick.com is where you would get food to make sure that, because you buy insurance for everything, but if you don't have food in the house when an emergency happens, you go to the stores and everything's empty, it's too late when an emergency happens. So just asking you guys to really think through preparing. So preparewithrick.com will give you can get this 2-week grab and go emergency food supply, got a 4-week emergency food supply. They're all discounted heavily here, right? $100 off for the 4-week food supply. These have come in reusable Mylar patches. There's 16 food varieties here in the 4-week supply, 8 food varieties in the 2-week supply. Most important thing is has a good number of calories in the Mylar pouches that can have shelf life of up to 25 years. Again, that's preparewithrick.com, and obviously you need to have. There's a waterwithrick.com too for that. Water purifier that's gone out of stock several times. It's still in stock. So waterwithrick.com, you need water to cook the food. Okay, so make sure you guys are preparing as much as you can for that. Look at this. This is another thread. Clinton 2016 campaign directly colluded with Ukraine, but the media just doesn't care. GOP senator tells Levin. Isn't that exactly right? So we pretty much know where the real collusion came from and why they call it classic projection, right? Russia, and you had Hillary doing the reset button and selling uranium to Russia, etc., right? So it's pretty crazy when you look at that. The only campaign that literally campaigning and colluding with the foreign government wasn't the Trump campaign, it was the Hillary Clinton campaign, Johnson explained. During the discussion, Johnson pointed to a story from January 2017 at Politico that outlines the Ukrainian government's efforts to boost Hillary Clinton during the 2016 election. So this is from Politico. This is a left-leaning publication, obviously. Ukrainian government officials tried to help Hillary Clinton and undermine Trump by publicly questioning his fitness for office, the story reads. They also disseminated documents implicating a top Trump aide in corruption and suggested they were investigating the matter, only to back away after the election. So there's 3 things right there clearly showing the true collusion was with the Clinton campaign. That does not even count the Russian dossier, which went through Perkins Coie, right, all the way through working with Nellie Orr, who was working for Fusion GPS, all of that, right back down to Blumenthal. But more than just working to undermine Trump and his associates, Johnson explained there was also the possibility that Clinton-Kiev campaign collusion may have been about then Vice President Joe Biden. It's also very possible, and people don't really realize this as well, Hillary Clinton had a primary. There was one Joe Biden potentially getting into the race as well. Senator explained, it is just possible or plausible that maybe the DNC, maybe the Hillary Clinton campaign was also trying to dig up dirt on Joe Biden back then in the Ukraine. So that would see, if that all backfires, that'd be funny. Johnson also cautioned that he wasn't making allegations or accusations, but just saying there's so many questions that remain unanswered. They remain unanswered, he added, because by large, the press has no curiosity about trying to get the answers to these things. And that's why this press is a completely criminal cabal for a talking point actors that are completely sold out. And they are a truly enemy of the people. I've always known the bias in the media, but what's really been reinforced to me is that the bias in the media is revealed far more in what they don't report, what they're not curious about, versus the very overt and real bias in what they do report, Johnson said. If they're not curious about something, if they're not reporting it, it's not news story. So there's a video if you want to look at that. But here's Levin saying, impeachment, baby, impeachment. Now we have proof of what we've been saying all along. The media is controlling the Democratic Party. To see the full video, the Levin TV. So you can go ahead and look at that there. But that is, kind of a big conclusion there. Well, we already knew this, but now it's just becoming extremely obvious to more and more people. And there are things that you can use to help red pill people. It's my biggest suggestion. I'll be going over red pilling with my son tomorrow night at 7:30 p.m. Central Time on the Backstage. And we'll kind of be sharing some of our favorite ways to red pill. The reason that I love him, he's the one who interviewed, the reason I love his story, because he red pilled me, number one, 5 years ago, right? And he also is in the generation of college students who are almost all progressive and being taught progressive things. How does he reach them? How does he reach these people? So if you want to see that, again, Backstage with Blessed Teach will be that exclusive content tomorrow night with him, and then Gene on Wednesday with the Dumbs, the deep underground military bases. You can just go to blessedteach.com, hit Backstage, and you can sign up for 50% off until October 31st, like we just talked about. Paul Saran has a whole thread here. I want to do a little time check to see what we can get through. 37 minutes, so we can probably get through part of this here. In the light of the recent law enforcement activity at the Vatican and the supposed revelations by a Cosa Nostra mobster alleging to be involved in the murder of a pope, it may be a good time to revisit. So we talked about Godfather 3 being the whole story where Cologne is working with the dirty pope, right? 2 quick disclaimers to keep the story moving. Some of the cue drops used will be presented by the most meaningful excerpts. I will be shining the light on Cat. So here is this whole thread here. You can go look at this if you'd like. See if I can go get to this. This is, I think, where the thread is going through this. Yeah, it is. Okay. You have to be 18 or older to read this. Do not tag any bad players on my post, Paul's asking. So Paul Saran, I think he comes on live sometimes on the Matrix Groove Hour if you want to hear him live. But very, I think, doing great work digging, and being a real true, I guess since he's now got, I'm not sure how much of an anon he really is, but from, I think, Brazil, I believe where he is. 2 quick disclaimers to keep the story moving. There's talk about, he talks about the experts. He says, I'll be shining the light on Catholic crimes here, but bigoted comments against the edifices of the church get blocked like they always are. So let's get to this distressing Q drop 189, the biggest reality check ever. All that you know to be right is wrong. The cult runs the world. All that you know, this is again Q189. All that you know to be right is wrong. The cult runs the world. Fantasyland. The world is fighting back and destroying the cult. 20% is public, 80% is private. The world would otherwise collapse. 40,000 foot view again, and need to decrease altitude to avoid conspiracy label. Was necessary. Godfather 3. Forgotten country. Q. This is complex thread, so I'll present the conclusions up front. It's about the makings of the Cabal, how Rockefellers were succeeded by George Soros, and how the Cabal instated the fake Pope. Q makes it clear back in drop 133. Who are the puppet masters? Saud, Rothschild, Soros. Trillionaires. Who are the puppet masters? House of Saud, 6+++, 4 trillion plus. Rothschild, 6++, 2 trillion plus. Soros, 6+, 1 trillion plus. Focus on above 3. Public wealth disclosures. False. Many governments of the world feed the eye. Rothschilds, cult leaders, control banks, financial institutions, the church, and fake Pope. House of Saud, oil, technology companies, sex haven for child trafficking, control U.S. and U.K. politicians. Soros controls transnational organizations, operator of slush funds. Rothschild, Saud, Soros. There's the triangle. At the beginning of the POTUS mandate, these 3 families had a tyrant grip on Earth, controlling the geopolitical realities of the planet to fit their New World Order agenda. They had the whole world feeding them as they left us nothing but crumbs. There they are. The 3 stooges, the 3 parts of the triangle. What about Godfather 3, the movie? The only wealth in this world is children, more than all the money, power on earth. Michael Corleone, Godfather 3. That was a quote from Godfather 3 movie. Classic movie. After a life of crime, Michael Corleone wants to complete the seemingly impossible transition into legality and respectability. So he's trying to go from the criminal that he was, killing all the other criminals, and trying to get out of the, become more respectable and actually have legal businesses. And so that's what the movie Godfather 3 is really about. He plans to do it through his wealth, his family, and his connections to the Catholic Church. And so there he is. I'm not sure if that was the Pope in the movie, but I think it was obviously one of the leading Catholic leaders in the movie. The Corleones have by now surrendered their criminal enterprise to Joey Zaza, a younger, hungrier gangster. Michael makes a huge donation. By the way, this is a spoiler alert. You will, if you haven't seen Godfather 3 and you don't want to have a spoiled plot of this, you probably want to skip this part. Michael, and this is Michael Corleone, who's the star of the show, right, makes a huge donation to the poor people in Sicily via the church and is given the title of Commendator of the Order of Saint Sebastian. He is well aware the money will never reach the needy. He is playing the game with ulterior motives. He tries to unsuccessfully get into a business with the Vatican company, his ticket to the final respectability. He is caught instead in a web of corruption in the church's finances. And you know how these movies a lot of times point to what the Cabal is doing or what they're about to do? It's interesting. He's advised by a good, honest priest who became Pope, only to be poisoned by the corrupt people he was about to expose. This is at once about John Paul I, but also about ousting Benedict. What is that? That's the 16, it looks like. Michael's plans are thwarted by the crooked Archbishop Gilday in cahoots with his enemies. In the end, the tensions of leaving criminal life and trying to enter into Vatican businesses invite such a level of evil that unavoidable tragedy abates over his family. So in my interpretation of the Godfather 3 movie analogy, we have a mighty Rockefeller's transition from robber barons to philanthropist, and then out of the cabal for good. David Rockefeller, the youngest son of John D., turned out to be the last power broker for the family. And there, Joey Zaza, who takes their share of the cabal, is Hungarian financier George Soros. Soros works in tandem with the Rothschilds, the cult leaders, and controllers of the Pope. This third facet of the pyramid of the Saud destiny in Saudi Arabia, they can be best represented by Prince Alwaleed bin Talal, who's the Saudi Arabia edge of the triangle, right? Who held sway over both Clintons and the Bushes. They also did a lot of false flags, by the way. The globalist overlords put in place a black-controlled usurper pope. The cult spins a global spiderweb that keeps the planet in constant turmoil, creating multiple conflicts as ways of keeping markets open to their criminal activities. Q drop 36. Why did George Soros transfer his wealth to his charity? Why did Soros transfer the bulk of his public funds to an NPO? Why is this relevant? His own open society foundations banned from Russia for representing a threat to the foundations of the constitutional system and the security of the state. So he gave $18 billion. George Soros gives $18 billion to his charitable foundation. There it is. And he says, the reason why can be found in this EO from December of 2017. That provides for the asset seizure from persons involved in serious human rights abuses and corruption. So if they find you're being corrupt, this is one of the main strategies of this plan is to bleed the cabal of their finances. So you start taking away their human trafficking, that takes the money away. You start hitting the drug portions, and you remember they dropped that big bomb in Afghanistan real early. They called it the Moab, but right back then, the real bomb that hit I think it hit the poppy fields that Poppy Bush set up to, and that was another part of the money. And then this whole thing about freezing the assets of anybody involved in human rights abuses is also pages and pages of freezing assets. So this that's part of what's going on exactly here. And here this is the, again, December 21st, 2017 EO there. Q keeps confirming that the signature Godfather 3 relates to upcoming events. Drop 87 here. My signatures all reference upcoming events about to drop if this hasn't been caught on. Snow White, Godfather 3, Q. To fight the cabal, POTUS also has allies about the world, and they have planned, installed, and activated a beam of light. So it happened, the onslaught of the storm. Good Saudi King Salam unleashed his anti-corruption purges, arrested hundreds of billionaire princes and ministers, broke one side of the cabal's pyramid, and shut the Saudi sex slave safe haven, freeing 3,000 children at once. Saudi Arabia was the bloody wonderland, the safe haven of child sex trafficking, and the most disturbing allegations are made against HRC, but so far they have not been substantiated in public. Under the former rulers of the House of Saud, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia turned into one of the biggest donors for the Clinton Foundation. Here it is, this documentation of about this Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. One of the donors to the actual Clinton Foundation. One of the most powerful men in the kingdom was arrested too. One of his leaders was the cabal in Saudi Arabia. Prince Alwaleed bin Talal is one of the richest men on earth and was said in the Q drops to be one of the puppet masters of the American politics. Alwaleed Philanthropic Foundation has given $1 million or more in cumulative donations to the Carter Center and between $100,000 to $250,000 to the Clinton Foundation. You can see Alwaleed bin Talal Foundation. There you go. All these foundations of the money laundering schemes. But in a simple, cursory search showed multiple millionaire donations from companies that Alwaleed had meaningful stakes. I am sure a thorough search will find many more. Coca-Cola, you can see here. And it says the Enron Rothschild Foundation. You got Cole Foundation. And I think he owns a lot of the the tech companies too. Q Drop 88. The events in Saudi Arabia are about to be replicated elsewhere. And this is Drop 88. 10 days, darkness, scare tactics, MSM, D's failing, R's walk away, removed. Saudi Arabia, US, Asia, the EU. Information is real. Distractions are necessary. Focus was U.S. today while been happening in Saudi Arabia under same context. Military control, martial law, missile strike, rogue, necessary. POTUS Twitter attack. See above. Important. Why is this relevant? What was the last tweet by POTUS prior to Saudi Arabia? Why is this relevant? Saudi Arabia 1, U.S. 2, Asia 3, EU 4. Where's POTUS? Why is this relevant? Military operations, operators in U.S., Snow White, The Great Awakening, Godfather 3. All the Democratic bad players of BHO administration using unsecured emails were involved with Godfather 3. And here's 91. And time check, guys. It's going to be tough for me to get through all this. It's a pretty long deal, and I'm already at 50 minutes. But this gives you a good feel for how awesome Paul is. So I'll try to continue this on a later broadcast, but you'll also have it in your show notes, the whole thing. But he goes through and basically gets to the point of coming to some conclusions about the Soros taking over the Rockefellers and how this relates to Godfather 3, the movie, and how they installed the bad Pope. And it goes on for quite some time, as you can see. But I want to get through at least a bit of it to give you guys a feel for how awesome Paul Saran is, and suggesting that you guys spend some time looking at his threads. And we'll finish this up in a later broadcast. I do want to also let you know that Pelosi did announce a full House vote on the Trump impeachment probe, which is interesting. Be good if it came out and actually came out in the open. That would be a really good thing. So I've let you guys know to get to show notes. You can just go to the front page of blessed2teach.com with a 2 and come down here and sign up for the show notes. You can also come here to get to contact me right here, and you can send me an email. I'm pretty good about keeping up with my emails, not my social media. I've been way behind on that. But so this is probably the best way if you really have a question for me and or Gene as well. And you can subscribe to the Blessed Teach list right here and kill two birds with one stone if you'd like to do that. But this is also where you get Backstage. Again, so some of the real deep content that gets into a lot of topics that I don't want to have on this channel, because I want this channel to be a blue pill people can come and try to find truth with a lot of documentation. For the deeper topics are going to be Backstage. And again, Backstage, you'll just click right there and you'll be able to have this exclusive content. The Searchy tool, which is awesome as well, is being able to join me live backstage and or through the recordings. And at the very bottom, there's a 50% off until through the 31st. Again, half price for only $7 a month or $5 a month if you do it a year in advance. All right, so make sure that you guys do that if you want to hear Gene on Wednesday night or my son tomorrow night. 7:30 Central Time will be the live. You can also get the recordings though, but it's not on YouTube. Again, it's a separate platform. I'm diversifying off of YouTube for obvious reasons, right? You probably have seen the awesome censorship we're going through. Do want to end with a prophecy and a prayer. Here we are in Satan's frequency that Mark Taylor talks about. He's talking about the Spirit of God says. Why are you tuned into the enemy's frequency? Why aren't you tuned into mine? Why do you listen to the doom and gloom? Do you not realize that they are tuned into the enemy's airwaves? I said, go throughout all the earth and preach my gospel, the good news. Then, why is there so much doom and gloom? Why are you siding and agreeing with the enemy's plans? Repent. You give more airtime to the enemy's plans than mine, thus empowering his plans. Did I not say that life and death are in the power of the tongue? And speak life. Why are my leaders searing the consciousness of my people with doom and gloom teaching? You who preach doom and gloom are robbing my people of hope and the will to fight. You are no longer saving lives, but taking them. How you might ask? Your doom and gloom messages have robbed them of hope to the point of suicide. You prophets and pastors of doom and gloom now have blood on your hands. You are prophesying your own doom. Repent. The Spirit of God says, the news media, you have become a stench into my nostrils. There is no spirit of truth in you. I, the Lord God, will clean out the news media and bring back truth. The sign will be given when news outlets will go down, bankrupt, and the Lord God will rebuild them using my righteous people to restore them. I'm calling on my army, those who are chosen to be journalists, investors, to get ready to take your place as I tear down and rebuild my news media. The Spirit of God says, where are my billionaires and my millionaires? Why are you not buying out these news outlets and taking control? The money I gave you was for my kingdom, to advance my kingdom in all areas of influence. Now is the time to move into my news media. I will now take back what belongs to me using my army and the finances I have given them. Rise up, my army, and take back my news media so the Spirit of truth will begin to flow. This is a fight the enemy does not want to see. He has held the stronghold for too long, and his time is up. Take this fight to the enemy, and my army will be victorious, and my media will be brought back to me. It's like, whoa! Just think about how cool it's going to be. You know, the Huffington Post is open for sale right now. Maybe somebody that wants to have truth versus propaganda and will clean out all the 4 a.m. talking boy cabal puppets. Wouldn't that not be beautiful? It would just be a beautiful thing to see truth come back in the media. And it's you sharing videos like this and other people creating videos and just us being citizen journalists or anons, or you just being a red pill person to help red pill one person at a time. That is how this is going to happen, where that exposing of the fake news is just happening everywhere. There's a verse here, and that was Mark Taylor, by the way. Swordrescue.com is where you'll find him. SORD rescue.com. You can find all of his prophecies for free right at his website. 1 John 1:9 is a verse that's kind of special. It talks about if we confess our sins, he is faithful and just and will forgive us our sins and purify us from all unrighteousness. I was talking about this a little bit the other day, but it's like to purify us from all unrighteousness, obviously only God can do that. Remember Romans 3:20 says, for all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. So none of us are righteous, not one. So if you're not righteous, you're not going to heaven. So the only way you can get to heaven is if you're purified for all unrighteousness. How will that happen? It's because you have the blood of Christ covering you. It's the substitutional power of the cross. That's what saves you. It's the good news that Mark talks about right here in this prophecy. He says right there, right? He talks about, I said, go through all the earth and preach my gospel, the good news. Gospel means good news. So it's good news that we can have the covering of Christ's life. Literally, his entire death on the cross actually was a substitutional power to actually say when the judgment happens, just like the Passover lamb, it passes right over us because we had blood covering us, right? You had blood over the doorsteps in the Passover. The angel of death crossed over because they'll see the perfect life of Christ versus your life. So you want to be judged on the perfect life of Christ or your own? Well, since I know no one is righteous, not one, for all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God, and the wages of sin is death, I would say yes. If I want the angel of death to pass over me, I need the blood of Christ to cover me. It's a vital point, and it's free. All you do is accept that free gift. Let me pray. Heavenly Father, just thank you so much for 1 John 1:9 and many other verses in the Bible that all confirm that this is a free gift. The good news is this gift that's 100% Jesus and 0% me. Lord, may anybody listen to my voice right now that hasn't taken the time to really think through how they are sinful and cannot get to heaven because they are unrighteous. take that step right now and accept Jesus' free gift of his death on the cross. That will be a substitutional power that will cover them. The angel of death will cross over them and they'll have eternal life. That is the good news. That's the good news gospel. Thank you for that, Lord. Thank you for such a time as this to bring Trump and so many white hats that love this country, patriots, and many people that love this world worldwide and are fighting for the children, are fighting against this evil, satanic cabal. May we join you, Lord, and you let us know how we can help. And we say these things in the mighty name of Jesus Christ. Amen. All right, guys, thank you so much for taking time with me here on Monday night, October 28th. Again, join me and Gene on Wednesday, me and my son Josh on Tuesday, Backstage. I'll probably do a video all as well here on the live channel, but if you want to see the deeper Backstage red pilling and DUMBs, underground bases, that Gene's going to get into, that will be Backstage. Go to blessed2teach.com and join us there. It'll be fun. I'm also going to have a free, probably next week or the following week, we'll have a free seminar coming up or workshop about how to win and impact this ungodly culture. That is going to be fun to go through with you as well. God bless you guys, and we will catch you at a later time. Let me just bring up the one less Cabal puppet we have with him gone. ISIS leader out. So now we're going to go to Backstage Live and talk about the other wars that are going on literally in underground bases, and also how do we red pill people as a great awakening starts to happen. It's going to be fun. Love you guys. Talk to you later.